Shalom, everyone. Welcome to In Second Thought. The Gemara in Zevachim is dealing with sacrifices mostly. But we have a comment in page 54 that the Gemara has about the temple itself. And the comment is very intriguing and very interesting. And let me share the sources. And what does the Gemara wants to tell us about through that comment? And the Gemara is saying in the name of Rava. And apropos the altar and the temple, the Gemara relates to Rava's thought. What is the meaning of which is written in a pasuk? And he and Shmuel went and dwelled in Nayot in Ramah. Okay, it's in the book of Samuel. What does Nayot have to do with Ramah? There are two distinctive places in Israel. Rather, says Rava, that they were sitting in Ramah and were involved in discussing the beauty, benoyo shel olam, in the beauty of the world, which is the temple. So, vayelech David u'Shmuel vayeshvu benayot barama. What do you mean? Either they dwelled in Nayot, or they dwelled in Ramah. And Ramah, as Rashi tells us, Ramah is the city of Shmuel. Ramah is the city of Shmuel. So it makes sense that they're sitting in Ramah. But what were they doing there? And what Rava is saying, they were occupied, they were busy with discussing the beauty of the world. Nayot, Noi is a beauty, Noi is beauty. And what is the beauty of the world? The beauty of the world can only be the temple. Now, what did they say about the temple? Were they just thinking about the temple or thinking about how the temple should look like? We all know that David is not going to build the temple. So why were they occupied with the temple? And the Gemara ends by saying, La havoyade duchtahecha. They did not know where the highest place in Eretz Israel was, which on the temple should be built. In other words, the Gemara is saying something very courageous. That is, they did not know where the temple is supposed to be built. Now that's a very strange question, because we all know the temple was built in Har Moriah, in Jerusalem. It also says, though, in Sefer Devarim, Perek Yud Bet, in chapter 12, that you should bring your sacrifices to the place I will show you. But it never says in the place I will show you, which means Har Moriah or Har Beit in Jerusalem. And it's a fact that no one before David HaMelech revealed the exact location of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and that it should be in Jerusalem. So what David and Shmuel are doing is that they're discussing, or they're trying to discover through reading Torah, where can that be? Where is that hidden place of the Mikdash? As Rashi says, they want to find the place of the Mikdash in the Torah to say, here, that's a hint where Mikdash should be built. But I want to go back to the verses in Shmuel, because the verses in Shmuel that David made good his escaping from Shaul, and he came to Shmuel ad Ramah and told him all that Shaul had done to him. And he and Shmuel went and stayed in Nayot. The pshat is that David went to Ramah, and then together they went to Ramot, to Nayot. And I want to make an emphasis on the fact that it's the first time that we have David and Shmuel going together somewhere. Shmuel always felt bad about Shaul. He loved Shaul so much, and it was difficult for him to anoint David into a king. But now they have it sounds like they have a common purpose and a mission that they know they can help each other. And even when Shmuel, few verses afterwards, he's after David HaMelech, and he comes to Ramah and he asks everyone, where is David and Shmuel? Where is Shmuel and David? They say, and he was told that they were at Nayot in Ramah. Something happens in this togetherness between Shmuel and David HaMelech that happens either in the house of Shmuel or in the place Ramah, or in the place called Nayot. But the Midrash will tell us they were dealing with the noi of the world, the noi on the highest place, which is Beit Hamikdash. The Gemara in the same page continued to say that with regard to this matter, that David and Shmuel were finding the place of the Mikdash, Doeg HaEdomi was jealous of David. As it is written, because jealousy for your house has eaten me up. It's a quote for Psalm where the poet is saying, people are jealous about your house and they are harassing me. Now, Doeg, says the Midrash, see that David and Shmuel exposed and found the hidden place of the Mikdash, and he was jealous. But the Gemara quotes different psukim telling us how occupied or preoccupied was David trying to find the place of the Mikdash, even though people hurt him because of that pursuit. So your jealousy has eaten me up. And it's written, Lord, remember for David all his afflictions, how he swore to the Lord, I will not come into the tent of my house if I will give sleep to my eyes or slumber to my eyelids until I find a place for the Lord. In few places in Sefer Tehillim, we hear that David is really has a problem with the fact that he has a house and God doesn't have a house, and it bothers him that up to the point where he says, I'm not going to sleep till I found the place for your dwelling house. And Rashi indeed says, that he tortured himself to study and learn, and swore the vow that he will not come into the tent of his house until God is going to go into dwell in his tent. And the emphasis is, remember, O Lord, unto David all his affliction of his soul. He was troubled by that fact. It bothered him so much. And here, even with Shmuel, as we heard, they're busy looking for the correct place of Beit Hamikdash. One of the verses that the Gemara quoted was Kinat Beitcha Chalatni. My zeal for your house has been my undoing. The reproaches of those who revile you have fallen upon me. In other words, David suffers from the people around because he was so he devoted his life at a certain point to find the place for the house of God. And Metzudat David is saying, because they are jealous of the glory of the Beit HaMikdash, they ate me up for this and will continue to insult me with words. And I hear the Metzudat David taking that idea and is taking it away from the private, personal story of David HaMelech, and he says about the entire people of Israel that the rest of the world are going to give the people of Israel a lot of trouble because they are jealous of the glory of Beit HaMikdash. And that's one reason people persecute us, and people hunt us, and people bother us. And Rashi is saying the jealousy is not of the glory, but the jealousy is because they saw the love that you showed us when your house was still existing, and they envied me. So obviously Rashi is speaking about a time where the Mikdash was built, again, and all the nations saw how God loves his people through Beit HaMikdash, and that's why they were so envy and chased the people. The other verse is Shir HaMalot, Zechor Hashem LeDavid et Kol Onuto, the Song of Ascent. Oh Lord, remember in David's favor his extreme self-denial. In other words, he put himself aside and he gives his entire being into the discovery of where the Mikdash is. And Radak indeed is saying that his efforts were answered. And David said this psalm when he built the altar in the threshold floor of Aravna HaYevusi according to the prophet Gad, and offered burnt offering and peace offering on it. He called upon the Lord, and he answered him with fire from heaven, and he said, "This is the house of God, and this is an altar forever for Israel." To that day, to that day, up till that day, when Gad Navi shows David where is the place of the Mizbeach and the place of the temple, to that day, the place of the temple was not known. And the prophet Nathan has already told him, he told David that he would not build a temple, but only his son Shlomo will build. And because David had put his strength and ability to prepare the building of the temple, he was answered in the place. He was answered in the place chose by the Lord. And the Lord said to David, remember all his affliction, because I did not have the privilege of building. The thought will rise as an act. In other words, Radak is saying, because David put so much effort just to reveal the place of the Mikdash, he knew he's not going to build the Mikdash, but he did everything else to find the place, to prepare. We know from Divrei Yamim that he prepared a lot of materials that the builders can build the Mikdash, and he also prepared the Leviims and their shifts in the Mikdash. David prepared everything he could. And he told God, this is what I can do. And because God saw the Mesirut Nefesh of David, he revealed the place of the Mikdash to him through God. But there's something else that David said, please let my effort be considered as if I built the Mikdash. I did not have the privilege of building, but the thought will rise as an act. And I remember what I afflicted myself for him, for I robbed my eyes of sleep with the abundance of my thoughts about him. I vowed and swore that I would not rest until it was built, and that I would not find satisfaction in my house and in my dwelling unless the house of the Lord was built. And it's a first hint for us to understand that even though David did not build the Mikdash, he wants his efforts to be considered as if he is the one who truly built the Mikdash. And the Midrash in Tehillim is adding and saying, there were three things that troubled David, but God comforted him. The first was the temple, as it says, remember, O Lord, for David all his hardship. And God comforted him by revealing to him the place where the temple would be built, as it says. And David said, this is the house of the Lord. We hear it in the book of Chronicles, where it explicitly says, this is the house of the Lord. God revealed it to David. But there's something else, and the something else is being said in the Midrash in Bamidbar Rabbah, and it says the following: the Holy One, blessed be He, does not withhold the reward of every creature and every place that a person toils and devoted his life to a matter. The Holy One, blessed He, does not withhold his reward. Just want us to hear that the Midrash starts with everyone. It's a general rule. If we put our heart into something, if we give ourselves into something positive, God is going to reward us and not withhold it from us. And we learn it from David HaMelech. If you would like to know proof, Shlomo built the Mikdash. As it says, Solomon built the temple, and he completed it, and Solomon completed it. Because David devoted his life to the temple that was built, as it stated, remember, Lord, for David all his affliction, I will not enter in proof, etc., etc. That's why the Holy One, blessed be He, did not withhold his reward, but rather attributed it to his name, to David's name. And we hear it in the Psalm, in Psalm 30, a psalm, a song for the dedication of the temple. Shir Mizmor Chanukat HaBayit LeDavid. It's not written to Shlomo, but to David. And that's the gift, that's a sachar, says the Midrash, that God is giving David. True, he did not build the temple, Shlomo built the temple. But because he was the one that was so eager to reveal the place of the Mikdash and to prepare whatever he can for the Mikdash with Mesirut Nefesh, we name the Mikdash after himself. Shir Mizmor Chanukat HaBayit LeDavid, the dedication of the temple to to David. And a Mechilta of Rashbi is adding about this psalm, a song of the inauguration of the temple of David. Now, did David build it? Of course, David did not build it. Why do you say let David? Did not Shlomo build it? And Shlomo built a temple. Why then it's written a psalm, a song of the inauguration of the temple of David? But because David devoted his life to building it, and it was called by his name. Similarly, yeah, remember, O Lord, unto David all his tribulation in seeking the place for the sanctuary, which to find the place he swore to the Lord and vowed to the strength of Yaakov. Because David devoted his life, it was called after his name. But there's something else, and I want to end with a famous Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, a Gemara that is really, it's a midrash that is really unusual and very moving, I think, between this battle, this maybe hidden battle between the son and the father of who built the Mikdash, and their acceptance, and Shlomo's acceptance that even though he did the physical building, the Mikdash is being built because of the merit of his father. And the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat is saying the following: when Shlomo built the temple, he sought to bring the ark into the Holy of Holies, but the gates clung together and he could not open it and enter. Shlomo uttered 24 songs, praising God and hoping they will open the gates, and was not answered. And he began and he said, lift up your heads, O you gates, and be you lifted up, you everlasting doors, that the King of glory may come in. Immediately the gates ran after him to swallow him, because they thought he was talking about himself. Not with no good reason, because we know how Shlomo was a monarch, who mostly thought about everything himself, solved everything himself, and saw himself as the king of Israel. So they suspected Shlomo that when he says, open your door in front of the King of glory, that he meant himself. So they ran after him to swallow him, and they said to him, who is the King of glory? And he immediately said to them, the Lord strong and mighty, Melech HaKavod, the long, strong and mighty. He said, lift up your heads, O you gates, lift them up, you everlasting doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who then is the King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory, Selah, obviously God. And then he was not answered. That should have sufficed the doors, but they did not open. And then he said, O Lord, turn not away the face of your anointed. Remember the good deeds of David, your servant. And he was immediately answered. Shlomo understand that if he comes into the Kodesh HaKodeshim as the only builder of the Mikdash, there's something significant and fundamental missing. He should give the honor to his father, and he understood that. And he said, God, please do it for the merit of David, your servant. And he was immediately answered. At that moment, the faces of all of David's enemies turned dark, like the bottom of the pot, and all of Israel knew that the Holy One, blessed be he, forgave him for that sin. In other words, if Doeg said he was jealous of David, that why did he, the one who found the place of the Mikdash, and he was trying to say that David is not a worthy king because he's a descendant of a Moabite woman. Here the Midrash, the Gemara is saying people would think the gates are opening for the merit of King David after he sinned with Bathsheba and Uriah. But the fact that the gates were open is a sign for all of Israel and a sign of David's enemies that God have forgave him for the sin. And it's only in the merit of King David, the gates are opening, and Shlomo, the builder of the Mikdash, can bring the ark into Kodesh HaKodeshim. He built the Mikdash, but the Mikdash was there thanks to David HaMelech, due to his Mesirut Nefesh, and was completed because of the merit of King David.